Did a comet's fiery destruction lead to the downfall of the ancient Hopewell? Well, there's a new paper coming out that suggests that yes, this may very well be the fact. Now, a rapid decline of the Hopewell culture about 1500 years ago might be explained by the falling debris from a near-Earth comet that created a devastating explosion over North America, laying waste to forests and Native American villages alike. Researchers with the University of Cincinnati found evidence of cosmic airbursts at 11 Hopewell archaeological sites in 3 states, stretching across the Ohio River Valley. This was home to the Ohio Hopewell, part of the notable Native American culture found across much of the American East. Now, the comet's glancing path rained debris down on the Earth's atmosphere, creating a fiery explosion. UC archaeologists use radiocarbon and typological dating to determine the age of the event. Now, the airburst affected an area bigger than New Jersey, setting fires across over 9,000 square miles between the years of AD 252 and 383. This coincides with a period when 69, let me repeat that, 69 near-Earth comets were observed and documented by Chinese astronomers and witnessed by the Native Americans as told through their oral histories. Now, the study was published in the Nature Journal Scientific Reports. UC archaeologists found an unusually high concentration and diversity of meteorites at Hopewell sites compared to other time periods. The meteorite fragments were identified from the telltale concentrations of iridium and platinum they contained. They also found, well, a charcoal layer. Yes, it all burned. And this suggests the area was exposed to fire and extreme heat for a long period of time. Now, I looked at the paper, and there are dozens of examples of this charcoal layer. Now, in his lab, the lead author, who's a pretty awesome guy, take a look, Kenneth Tankersley, he's a professor of anthropology in UC's College of Arts and Sciences. Well, he's holding up a container of tiny micrometeorites collected at the site. And the giant square in his left hand is a magnet, and it contains many of those meteorites as well, as you can see here. This is how small they are. Take a look. They're almost like iron filings, and in fact, they're the same size. Now, a variety of meteorites, including stony meteorites called pallasites, were found at the Hopewell sites. And if you take a look at the paper that's linked below, you can see pictures of those as well. Now, these micrometeorites have a chemical fingerprint. Cosmic events like asteroids and comet airbursts leave behind high quantities of rare elements known as platinum, Tankersley said. The problem is that platinum also occurs in volcanic eruptions. So you want to also look for other rare elements found in non-terrestrial events. Those mean events not from Earth, such as meteorite impact craters, which contain iridium. And they found iridium spikes in all samples. So both platinum and iridium, which suggests this is not volcanic, but cosmic. That's pretty fantastic. Now, the Hopewell people collected meteorites and forged malleable metals from them into flat sheets that they used in jewelry and musical instruments called pan flutes. But beyond the physical evidence are cultural clues left behind in the masterworks and oral histories of the Hopewell. In fact, a comet-shaped mound was constructed near the epicenter of the airburst at the Hopewell site called Milford Earthworks, which you're looking at here. Now, this information has all been scrubbed and there's no follow-up work on this. It's basically one and done. And the entire area's probably developed now or farmed. So there's not a lot we can do to preserve this information except preserve the existing documents, which you're looking at now. Now, this isn't the only unique cometary mound system in the east. There is Serpent Mound, which is quite famous and or prolific as to its existence. But let's talk about some other legends. Various Algonquin and Iroquoian tribes, descendants of the Hopewell, spoke of a calamity that befell the earth. What's fascinating is that many different tribes have similar stories of the event. Now, the Miami Indians tell of a horned serpent. That's not it. Now, this horned serpent that the Miami talk about flew across the sky and dropped rocks onto the land before plummeting into the river. When you see a comet going through the air, it would look like a large snake, in fact, especially to the natives. The Shawnee Indians in the Pennsylvania and New Jersey area refer to a sky panther that had the power to tear down forests. The Ottawa, well, we know a lot about Ottawa, don't we? The Ottawa Indians talk of a day when the sun fell from the sky. And when a comet hits the thermosphere, it would have exploded like a nuclear bomb, appearing as such. The Wyandot recounted a dark cloud that rolled across the sky and was destroyed by a fiery dart, Tankersley said. Now, the same thing was seen in Tunguska and recently, the Chelyabinsk. And the fiery dart is a plasma discharge from Earth arcing with the object and creating the explosion. And in fact, the author, Tankersley, says it's a lot like the description the Russians gave for Tunguska. He said of a comet airburst documented over Siberia in 1908 that leveled 830 square miles of forests, shattered windows hundreds of miles away. Many of you are familiar with this event. Now, witnesses reported seeing a fireball, a bluish light nearly as bright as the sun, moving across the sky. A flash and sound similar to artillery fire was said to follow it. And then a powerful shock wave broke windows hundreds of miles away and knocked people off their feet, according to a story in Earth Sky. And you're looking at an account, albeit not real, of the Tunguska event. This is not an actual picture. Now, UC biology professor and co-author David Lentz said people who survived the airburst and its fires at the time of the Hollow incident would have gazed upon a devastated landscape. It looks like this event was very injurious to agriculture. People didn't have any good ways to store corn for a long period of time. Losing a crop or two would have caused widespread suffering. And we know about that due to the fact that all the cliff dwellings in the Southwest are now empty. And if the airburst leveled forests like the one in Russia, native people would have lost their fruit and nut trees, such as walnut or hickory, apple, plum. And those have provided a good source of winter food, and that would have been lost. When your corn crop fails or your squash, you can usually rely upon a tree crop. But if they're all destroyed, it would have been incredibly disruptive, according to the authors. Now, UC's Advanced Materials Characterization Center, say that 5 times fast, conducted scanning, electron microscopy, and energy dispersive spectrometry of the sediment samples. Inductively coupled plasma mass spectrometry was employed at the University of Georgia Center for Applied Isotopic Studies. The U.S. Geologic Survey provided stable carbon isotope analysis. Now, despite what scientists know and all the data and all the dating of these events, and you can see here that cosmological events in this region began about 200 AD and they extended all the way towards 600. It's hard to know exactly what happened at all. But with the data, we can make up hypotheses. There's a few points of light in the darkness. But we have this area of high heat in this region right there by the airburst event that would suggest, well, bad things happened. For people in this area and beyond, because this is a major event. So if you eliminate a large population over 1,000 square miles, it's going to affect the surrounding people. Now researchers are studying pollen trapped in the layers of sediment to see how the comet airburst might have changed the botanical landscape. And these studies are coming in a few years, so stay tuned for that. Now, co-author Stephen Myers, a UC geology alumnus, said their discovery might lead to more interest in how cosmic events affected prehistoric people around the world. Well, hello. We've been screaming at the top of our lungs with our research worldwide about plasma discharge events that natives have witnessed, including, well, the earlier glyphs prior to these were the cometary event. And it's clear that it is the Hopewell event at the time of about 300 AD. The comets, 69 of them, preceded the Charlemagne event in 774-775, which led to these petroglyphs worldwide, in my opinion. Now, did a comet's fiery destruction lead to the downfall of the ancient Hopewell? Well, yes, not just one, but maybe dozens. And other cosmic events that lead us all to change the narrative in the mainstream to a new paradigm. One of a cosmic element, which is the leading cause of all change on our planet, by the way, in case you haven't picked up what we're putting down. And that's a boom to knowledge. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. As we inform you, best of our knowledge, on the data that is currently available. We love you. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Share this with like-minded people. Be safe. That's boom.